Hello and welcome back to another episode of Lore and Loot. Today we're taking a look at 3 more cantons in Vivec City. We're going to start off in the Arena Canton. The Arena Canton is located between the Redoran and Telvanni compounds. It's a typical 3-level canton on the outside, however the inside is a bit different than all the others. From a social perspective, the arena is not just for entertainment, but it's where honor duels are fought. These sanctioned death matches are typically held between individuals with a feud or a disagreement, and the matter is settled with a duel at the arena. Presumably there are also matches for entertainment, but we never get to see anything like it during the game. There's plenty of seating for spectators that can get a good vantage point, and the arena itself has a sand floor, good for slipping and losing your footing, or maybe throwing sand in your opponent's face. The main entrance to the plaza is from the outside, like any other canton, but you can access the second level, the Wasteworks, through the arena itself. This is where the fighters would come from and where they go back into after a match. The arena Wasteworks is where the combatants live and train. There is housing for fighters and trainees here, of course, with some ordinators patrolling the halls. In the fighters training area, you'll find one of the coolest characters in the game, Shanwen, the heavy armor master trainer, rocking an incredibly awesome set of ebony armor. In the fighters quarters, you'll see some beds and also Senindi, the acrobatics master trainer. Next down in the canal works, we'll find 2 doors to the Canton storage rooms, which naturally have been overrun with rats. You'll find a copy of Chance's Folly on one of the crates, which will boost your security skill, and right next to it, behind a locked and trapped door, is a room with an entrance to the hidden area. This secret place is the hiding place for a secret organization, which we will encounter later on in our adventures. For now, I want to leave an air of mystery, so I'm not going to tell you what's in it. The other side of the canal works has nothing of note except trapdoors that lead to the sewers, so down we go. In the sewers we see a dreamer, which at this point we have seen in other sewers. Who they really are and why they are hiding, those are questions we'll answer another time. Other than the dreamer, however, there really isn't anything of note in the arena underworks. We can now head to the next canton. We'll be exploring the St. Olms canton first. This section is named after St. Olms the Just, the founder of the Ordinators. After living a just life, he was canonized and became a saint of the Tribunal Temple. Shrines to St. Olms can be found in various ancestral tombs in Morrowind, and a prayer on these altars grants Olms benediction, which grants a resistance to common diseases. The canton itself is a combination of residential, both upper class and poor, as well as trade organizations. Entering the plaza, one of the key locations is the Yingling Manor, home of Yingling Half-Troll, who is a House Lalu high-ranking member. Of further interest is the same Olms Temple, because of course a canton named after a saint would have a temple on the top floor. Additionally, we can go into the Haunted Manor. The Haunted Manor is a strange location, and is actually one of importance for various quests, so we won't dwell in here for too long, but it's important to know of this location. Next, we'll head into the Wasteworks. Here we'll find the various trade guilds I mentioned before. First up, we have the farmers and laborers, who sell produce and other crops. Across the hall, you'll find the Tanners and Miners Hall, selling various minerals and leather goods. The Tailors and Dyers Hall is on the opposite side of the Wasteworks, and here you'll find various clothes and cloth and stuff like that. The last one is the Brewers and Fishmongers Hall, and this seems to be an odd partnership to me. I don't really associate fish with booze, but whatever. A few merchants make their home in the bottom level of the Wasteworks, but not much else of interest here. I do think it's neat that this canton has these merchant guilds here though, because it adds a bit of realism to the world, and it's probably something most players won't ever even come to visit, but they added it anyway. Love that. Anyways, down into the canal works we go. If we enter the St. Olms storage, we once again find that when they say storage, they mean they're storing undead, because this place is crawling with bone lords and skellies. Now, it's strange to me that someone would build a burial chamber behind their storage room, but maybe they're just trying to save space. We've seen it more than once, so it's definitely a purposefully made addition, but I can't seem to find any social or cultural reason for it, so I just assume it's done to save space. Strangely, you don't find a shrine to St. Olms here, but rather one to St. Felms. Weird. In the sewers, we find a Daedric shrine. This one is called a Cernerian. Acernera Iran. Acernai. It's a shrine to Mehrunes Dagon, one of the four corners of the House of Troubles. For those of you who don't know, the Dunmer believe that four of the Daedra are bad Daedra, and have dubbed them the four corners of the House of Troubles. Mehrunes Dagon is one of them. We of course know that he has tried to invade Tamriel before, from the events in Battlespire. And we of course know he tries again in Oblivion, so he really is a bad Daedra. Finally, we have a strange Khajiit, a Diranir, hiding from someone. Maybe we'll come back and find out more about this strange Khajiit later. Now, there are actually quite a few residential units on the outside of the canton. Think of them like apartments. We're not going to go into each one of them because most of them just belong to random NPCs. Instead, we're going to head into the St. Delyn canton, which is right across from St. Olms. It's kind of cool, the statues of St. Delyn and St. Olms actually face each other in a really cool way, and it makes for some nice images when facing the temple quarter. St. Delyn is, of course, named after St. Delyn the Wise, a statesman and a lawyer, and a member of the great house Indoril. He is also the patron saint of potters and glassmakers. Praying at his altar will grant you resistance to blight. Now, entering the plaza, we'll find the Potter's Hall, which, of course, makes sense. Here we can buy various earthenware and maybe make a pizza in this oven. Yum. Further along, we'll find the Glassworkers' Hall, where you can buy all the glass bottles, jugs, and or jars you could ever want. There is an interesting NPC in the plaza level, an invisible man who asks for your help, but I don't want to trigger that quest right now, so just take my word for it for now and just know that he exists. The Glassworkers' Hall has a secondary entrance which leads into the Wasteworks. Right down the hall is the Abbey of St. Delyn the Wise, where various temple members live. There's really nothing else in the Wasteworks, so let's just head into the canal works. These canal works are divided into two, with one side having nothing, and the other side housing the St. Delyn storage. And surprise, surprise, aside from rats, this storage also has undead. Going through a few doors will lead to a few intertwining hallways just crawling with skellies and bone lords. Are they like security here? I mean, what could they possibly be storing here that would require undead guardians? In some of these rooms there are, of course, burial pits. Dunmer weird, man. Back outside, we can head into the underworks of the St. Delyn Canton. Here we find Hockey guarding another shrine. This one is called Inhinpalit, and it's a shrine to the Prince of Madness himself, Sheogorath. Sheogorath here is another of the four corners of the House of Troubles, and no wonder, as he is of course quite mad and known for his shenanigans. There are a few Daedric quests in the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind, and we'll cover them all in depth at a later time. There is nothing else of note in these underworks. However, one strange little quirk is the massive amounts of rats that inhabit this particular sewer system, far more than any other one we have seen so far. Is it just coincidence, or does it have something to do with Sheogorath? Honestly, I can't say, but it's an interesting thing to think about at the very least. With that, we have explored 3 more cantons, and we can head back outside. There is one last thing we can explore, however. As with the St. Olms canton, the outside of St. Delyn also has some private apartments. Now, most of them are again just inhabited by random NPCs, most of which have little or no importance to anything. However, one important character lives in St. Delyn, Canal South 1, on the lowest level of the canton. Her name is Elmeni Dren, daughter of Duke Vadum Dren, the governor of Vardenfell province, and the niece of Orvis Dren, the leader of the Kimona Tong in Vardenfell. Not only is it strange for the daughter of one of the most powerful people on the island to be living in relative modesty, she also happens to be the leader of the slave freedom and liberation group, the Twin Lamps. Family reunions with her uncle must be awkward. And with that, we are done with our tour of the arena, the St. Olms, and the St. Delyn cantons. Our tour of Vivec City is almost over. We only have the Temple Quarter, the Ministry of Truth, and of course, Vivec's Palace to explore. But we'll have to wait until the next episode to do so. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Lore and Loot, and I do want to say thank you for your patience, as this episode took a long time to get out. As I've said in the past, these videos take a long time to make because of the recording, the writing of the script, the recording of the voiceover, and the editing. If you're watching this in current time, you know there are a lot of things going on in the world with quarantine and all that other nonsense, and it has been increasingly difficult for me to find time to make these time-consuming videos. But rest assured, I love making these lore and loot videos, and this series is going to continue. I hope to soon be able to release these every Saturday like I used to, but until then, thanks again for watching, and thanks for your patience.